We do this exercise in the report looking at basically the last 10 or 15 years of growth in our region and looking how that is affected by what's going on in the Eurozone. And what we see is that there's a huge variation in terms of how vulnerable these countries are to what's happening in the Eurozone. So they are all quite connected to the Eurozone. They all have strong links through the financial system, through direct investment, through export and trade, through job markets. All those links are very strong. So yes, the development of the Eurozone is somewhat better now. We feel that there is hopefully some floor to how bad it can get, but certainly the Eurozone problems are not out of the way. And if we look at the prospect for growth over the next few years, it's not very strong in the Eurozone. And that's something that will shape the immediate future of the countries in Eastern Europe as well. What is new is that the Eurozone is now really affecting Russian growth. Of course, a lot of Russia's link to the Eurozone comes through the very large energy exports, and of course the demand for energy when the growth is slowing down is lower. But of course, since Russia is so important for many countries in our region, what's happening in Russia is critical. So again, Ukraine, which is very vulnerable to what's happening in the Eurozone, is also very vulnerable to what's happening in Russia. So Ukraine, through the weaknesses of its domestic institutions, through the weaknesses of its political system, and so on, is very much affected by these developments in its surrounding. The way to think about the Eurozone and the financial dimension of the Eurozone is that we have built a building that is half finished. We have very advanced integration in terms of the financial institutions, so they play an enormous role in different parts of the Eurozone, but also in the Central and Eastern Europe. And we haven't built the structures that can support these cross-border linkages. And what we are arguing in this chapter is that now, for the first time, there is a real attempt from the European Union to create this new architecture, this new support system for cross-border banking. And we very much welcome that, but we are worried that for the countries that are now outside the Eurozone, for them this could distort things. So they could, the fact that they will possibly subject themselves to supervision from the Eurozone center, from this ECB, while not having access to the support of this what we call fiscal backstop, this crisis fund, that will worsen the situation for banks that are not based in the Eurozone but are based in these countries. So a country like Poland, for example, have quite a few Eurozone banks active in Poland, but it also has domestic banks. And by having this sort of playing field distorted by these new structures that are emerging at the European level, that's what we need to try to address. So we are proposing a number of possible ways around this. So one is to find ways of letting these countries opt in. So this is already part of the proposal, but we have to be clear of what this opt-in means. So it needs to, of course, imply some level of supervision and being part of the single supervision mechanism. But we also think that there should be possibilities of letting countries participate also in this rescue mechanism, the ESM. So that there needs to be some balance there. But there also needs to be some opening up in the governance structure so that these countries that would opt in would in some way be allowed to participate in a meaningful way in these critical decisions that are made inside the Eurozone.